We are joined by William Taylor, American diplomat, former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, and someone who is in close contact with representatives of the Ukrainian government. Hello, William. It's good to see you on TV Rain once again.
Greetings. How are you?
Thank you for taking the time, Mr. Ambassador. How would you comment on the Washington Post's publication of Donald Trump's plans to forfeit Crimea and the Donbass to Russia? Do you think that Trump actually plans to attempt to end the war in Ukraine by giving in to Putin's demands?
So we have to remember that the United States has one president at a time. We have the U.S. policy that is well stated right now. And as you've reported, there are reports, not yet substantiated, of what the other candidate would propose. President Trump has long had an interest in Russia, and he has apparently had some conversations. We don't know these yet, so it's still somewhat uncertain as to what his position is. And you ask if it's plausible. Sure, it's plausible. He has said in the past that he would resolve this issue in 24 hours. That's always been a challenge. And now there are reports, again, unconfirmed yet by the candidate, that he would do this by putting some pressure on Ukraine and ceding territory to Russia from Ukraine.
As I see it, in Donald Trump's view, Ukraine's territorial integrity is not anything to be concerned about, and it's better to just give chunks of Ukrainian land along with the people living there to Russia, hoping that this will end Russian aggression. Mr. Taylor, would you say that there are many American politicians and representatives that share this view today?
I think there is a minority, probably even a small minority of congressmen and women in our Congress, in our House of Representatives, who share this view. I think the majority of the House of Representatives, and we know the majority of the Senate, supports providing Ukraine with the ammunition, with the weapons, with the support and finance that it needs to win this war. The Senate voted 3 weeks ago now, 70 to 29 in a 100-member Senate to support Ukraine and provide them the weapons that they need. Now the question is in the House, and you ask if a majority or if there are some politicians in the House that would agree with this suggestion that is alleged to have been made by former President Trump. A small number, yes. There are some people in the House who would agree with that. Again, the majority, I believe, would not agree with this.
Yes, but that minority seems to be in control right now. They seem to be the people that have the most profound effect on the final decisions. And we're seeing how that leads Volodymyr Zelensky to make his rhetoric a more desperate one, directly saying that if America doesn't help Ukraine now, Ukraine may lose the war.
I do. I think President Zelensky has been very clear. And I think his message, that is, without U.S. support, without the weapons that the United States can provide quickly, Ukraine cannot win. Ukraine cannot take back territory. Ukraine cannot even probably defend itself from a larger movement, a larger assault by the Russians. So I do think that President Zelensky has made that case, and I do think Speaker Johnson has understood it. And I believe that Speaker Johnson will get this supplemental on the floor, and that when it comes to a vote, like in the Senate, it will pass with an overwhelming majority.
And when will that vote take place? I hear that it is a matter of the next few weeks. Would you say that this timeline is realistic?
I do agree with that forecast. I think it's the Congress is coming back into session today. They are clearly working on the proposal right now. And there are several proposals along this, how to provide the weapons and the support to Ukraine. And it could be in a number of different versions. Once they decide how to get it to a vote, I think it could happen pretty quickly. That is, within a week or two.
Mr. Ambassador, seeing that you are in contact with the representatives of the Office of the President of Ukraine and regularly visit Ukraine, how would you describe the mood there? Is desperation a prevalent feeling in the Ukrainian government?
They are anxious about U.S. politics and the activities in the United States House of Representatives. They're watching very closely. You've already mentioned that President Zelensky has been very clear, and he's had conversations with Speaker Johnson about this. So yes, the Ukrainians are very concerned. They, however, are determined. They are not giving up. They are not interested in compromising their territory or their people. They are not interested in appeasing Putin. The Ukrainians are determined to continue to fight with or without the United States. They hope it'll be with the United States, but the Ukrainians will continue to fight. They're determined to win.
I have to ask you about the view of the White House, the one president that is in charge at a given moment in time, the one president that is in charge at a given moment in time. My sources tell me that it is Joe Biden himself who is against supplying Ukraine with weapons that could reach Russia's soil or weapons that could truly be a game changer for Ukraine. Simply put, weaponry that can infuriate Vladimir Putin. Are you able to confirm this, and what is your opinion of Joe Biden's rather cautious approach, even though he proclaims his unwavering support for Ukraine?
He definitely supports Kyiv as a victim of this war. He definitely supports Kyiv as a democracy fighting for its life. He recognizes that Kyiv and Ukraine will not exist if the Russians succeed. So President Biden strongly supports Ukraine, strongly supports President Zelensky, and wants to provide these weapons. He wants to provide this supplemental assistance of $60 billion to take them through this year. That's clear. There is the question of striking into Russia with weapons. Now, the Ukrainians, of course, have their own weapons that can strike deep into Russia, as we've seen, as you've reported. The Ukrainians are using their own long-range drones to attack military targets, in particular oil refining facilities deep into Russia. And that is causing some question among some allies. However, in general, I think that is recognized that this is self-defense, that the Ukrainians are firing at the Russians' military targets in self-defense. The Biden administration has provided long-range weapons to be able to range into Russian-occupied Ukraine, deep into Crimea. So these weapons are already in use, and I think they will continue.
But do I understand correctly that none of the U.S. officials such as Biden or Blinken are ready to say that they actually want Ukraine to win this war? They don't seem to want Russia to lose, so it seems that by the same token, Ukraine's victory cannot be within America's interests. Or is that not the right connection to make?
No, I don't agree with that statement. They have said they want to see a victory by Ukraine. They want to see Ukraine succeed. They want to see an independent, democratic, economically viable Ukraine. They have not specified exactly what that means, what that actually looks like, but that's victory. They have said they want to see Ukraine succeed.
But what should that victory look like is undefined, which makes the outlook all the more grim. The last thing I wanted to ask you was, Donald Trump looks like the figure that might withdraw the U.S. from NATO if he were to be elected president again. Do you think that the U.S. withdrawing from NATO is likely?
No, I do not. The Congress has already passed a bill, it's now law, that says that no president can take the United States out of NATO without consulting with the Congress. The Congress is strongly supportive of NATO. Both Republicans and Democrats, House and Senate, bipartisan majorities will support the United States staying in NATO and being true to the commitments that are there in the NATO treaty. That is, an attack on one is an attack on all, and the United States will maintain that treaty and will be in NATO for the future.
Thank you for this prognosis. It is certainly reassuring to any nation that may fear an attack from Vladimir Putin. This has been William Taylor, American diplomat and former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.